What's up, party people, and welcome to Stoniecast number 139 and Season 5, Episode 1, the 5th season premiere of Thoughts and Hunches, Making Money in Bunches, and Sucker Punches. It's your boy Stony coming back at you for the 139th time, and I'd like to welcome all of my fellow lowlifes, hoodlums, scumbags, shady characters, scoundrels, heathens, altar boys with unhealthy relationships with their priests, hustlers, wise guys, people that give themselves nicknames and speak in the third person, foul-mouthed raging alcoholics, MLB players that have got into a fight with Bryce Harper, cheats, disasters that take pride in a $4 profit on the WNBA, gangsters, fienders with abusive language, and degenerates. I mean, let's face it, basically anybody with a massive gambling problem. If you're new to the show, hey, you probably fit into one or a few of those categories, Cruz. So welcome, because you're one of us. One of us. One of us. One of us. Gooba gobba, one of us. We accept and one of... Sorry, I get a little sidetracked. Let's face it, you missed that. I know you did, right? Make sure to hit the subscribe button right down here in the lower right-hand corner. That way you get notified every time I put out a new video. To spread the word, that's also very easy. Just tell other degenerates and scumbags you know, Cruz, to go to YouTube and enter Thoughts and Hunches in the search bar. That'll take you right to my page and you can get dialed into everything that I drop on your head. Also, if you're new and you don't know what's with this channel, it's college and pro football winners, MLB playoff winners, and college basketball winners, with an occasional boxing match thrown in. The books don't expect a guy like me to deliver this many winners, right? Because that's all I do, right? I'm an outlier, and I'm a disruptor. I'm like the Beastie Boys. I'm a disruptor.
Step inside the party, disrupt the whole scene!
That's precisely what I do, right? I get every single week, I go right to the mattresses and I get the info for you every single week in order to get you to the window with a ticket to cash. Now, before I get to the picks, as usual, I have some thoughts.
Give me all you got! Listen, give me all you got!
You know, sometimes you got to give me all you got, all right? As I do with the first episode of every season, I have to add a disclaimer. Now, if you're using these picks that I give you to try and get rich, my advice to you is to go out and get a freaking job. I'll win more than I lose. But the beauty of this Stoniecast is that it's 100% free every week. The worst season I've had in 4 seasons was 56%, which is still a very good winning season. Yeah, I have losing weeks, but in the long run, I'm going to win more than I lose. Last season was 58.52%, and anyone that knows anything about sports wagering knows that anything above 52.4% is winning. 55 to 57% is good. Above 58% is excellent. Above 60% is Hall of Fame type shit. So anyone that tells you that they're hitting 75% is clearly lying to you. Here's a good piece of advice. Follow my boy Vinny B. Shout out Vinny B. Do your own research. Then compare your plays to mine. And if you agree with my plays, those are the ones to fire on. I'm not telling you to back off on your own intuition when I disagree with your pick, but just be smart. Most bettors place different size wagers. These Stoniecasts are designed for people that never sway from the size of their wagers. Every single one's the same. They bet the same amount on every single game. My season goes from the infamous week 0 of college football, which begins Saturday, all the way up through the NCAA Basketball National Championship on the second Monday in April. During that time, I'll give you college football, NFL, MLB playoffs, occasional boxing title matches, and college basketball picks. No NBA, no way WNBA, no NHL, no MMA, and absolutely no soccer picks because I actually like to bet on sports where something happens instead of the mind-numbing bore and sheer pointlessness of a 0-0 tie. Okay, enough about the Stoniecast. Now let's get to some thoughts. Just announced yesterday, Oklahoma State University is going to be putting QR codes on players' helmets this season. Really? Where have we gone? Just a couple years ago, the NCAA's rule stated that any student athlete who made any type of money would be ineligible to participate, from a job, a handout, a free lunch from a booster, whatever. Now fans can scan a QR code to make a donation to Oklahoma State's NIL fund? Really?
Pay him. Pay that man his money.
Yeah, that's all that it's about. This is just insane. We have officially gone to the zoo. NFL preseason, please. Just stop. None of it matters. The only thing that matters to the coaches is health. Did your team escape a game that nobody attends or watches on television without any injuries? That's it. If they did, then you won. The last thing Minnesota needs is for Justin Jefferson to get hurt in a meaningless game when the club has invested hundreds of millions of dollars into him. If you're all fired up for preseason football, then you got some serious freaking issues. More than the degenerates, hustlers, and scumbags on this podcast. If you're betting preseason football, then you have even more issues. Although I have heard that the unders have been hitting at a 76% clip through the first 2 weeks because nobody cares about the preseason, thank God this is the last week of this nonsense before the season begins. 2 weeks. 2 weeks from tomorrow. And NFL gets going. So that way you can all get excited about it. Right? Players will start getting injured left and right once the season starts. And scores are going to fly over the totals early on. Everyone's going to be, oh my God, my quarterback's out for the year. The team's screwed. What am I going to do? And then the retreads and the trades. And oh my God, we don't have backup quarterback. It's just insanity. Now, usually the gamblers have an edge early in the season because the odds makers, a.k.a. the wise guys, haven't figured out anyone yet, because by the time the college football playoffs, the NFL playoffs, or March Madness roll around, the wise guys' numbers are sharp, and they're tight, and they're on point. Now, the opposite has been true for my picks the last few years, as it always is for some reason. Seems like I get off to a slow start before I catch my groove. Case in point last year. My college football picks were a disaster in the early going last season, as I couldn't hit water if I fell out of a fucking boat. And well into week 3, I was still under 50%. But then a strange thing always seems to happen. I get on a heater. And yeah, I still wound up just under 59% on the season for college football. In the NFL, I went on an historic 4-week heater last season where I was hitting over 73%, which is just obscene. And that helped me balance out some of the bad weeks I had to finish firmly over 58% in the NFL. So patience is the key here, folks. If I have a few hiccups to start the season, don't panic. All right? I don't want to hear Stoney sucks like a certain retired BOP officer in southern Mississippi who only comments when I have a bad week. But it's crickets galore when I go on a 4-week 74% heater. Patience, people, patience. And lastly, I have to address this. If you are betting $5 on a Summer League NBA basketball game, first of all, get yourself to a meeting right away. And second of all, don't ever brag on that if you win. I actually have a text message with a picture from a freaking lunatic who won $4 betting on NBA Summer League. All I can say is ouch. Right? Add that to the same guy that gave himself a nickname and speaks of himself in the third person. Sorry, Christopher, but $2 pony bets hardly make you proficient. When you flood my inbox with $4 winners after the fact, also doesn't help your credibility. Just once, one time, say it to his face one time, Andy Garcia. Send me a ticket before the contest begins. Just try it. That adds credibility to your pick. That's not too much to ask, is it? And try mixing in an underdog from time to time instead of a minus 400 money line chalk play that paid you $3.25. Now, with all that being said, I've added a new quote to the end of each Stoniecast. An old wise man once said, he's not that old, but he is 5 years older than me, so I got to point that out. There's a difference between winning and making money. Anybody can win betting chalk, but you can't actually make money unless you bet the dogs. That's from my boy Tony Tattoos. And you will now hear it at the end of each Stoniecast, because the question is, do you want to win and brag that you won, even if it's only $2? Or would you rather make money? That's a good question to ponder. With that being said, here are my numbers from last season. Just take all this into consideration. NCAA hoops postseason, 253 wins, 166 losses, 4 pushes, 60.38% from March into April. NCAA hoops regular season, 748 wins, 548 losses, 17 pushes, 57.71%, solid. NFL playoffs, 14 wins, 11 losses, 1 push, 56%. NFL regular season, 160 wins, 113 losses, 3 pushes, 58.61%. College bowls, 35 wins, 20 losses, 1 push, 63.75%. And MLB playoffs, 55 wins, 36 losses, 1 push, 60.44%. And NFL football regular season, 238 wins, 170 losses, 5 pushes, 58.33%. Overall, 36 weeks last season, I gave you over 2,600 picks. Out of those 2,600 picks, I went 1,515 wins, 1,075 losses, and 32 pushes, 58.49%. That's a solid year. Is it not a solid year? Tell him, Teddy.
Pay that man his money.
That's exactly what I did. This man got his money last year. Please remember that all of these picks are 100% free. So for all those touts out there that give you 75 to 80% winners, come on. We all know you're full of shit. Plus, you're charging for these picks. With me, just come to YouTube every week and I'll drop my plays on you for free. Okay? You ready? Here we go. Let's do this. Season 5. Let's start Season 5 with the infamous NCAA Week 0, which I always count as Week 1 in my books because it's Episode 1 of my season. It all starts Saturday at noon Eastern on ESPN at Aviva Stadium in Dublin, Ireland, where 5th-ranked Florida State is a 10.5-point favorite over Georgia Tech with the total set at 55.5. This is the 5th time that Aviva is hosting a college football matchup, with the other 4 averaging 48 points since 2012. DJ Uiagalelei is on his 137th team and is 48 years old because he's been at 36 different colleges. I mean, welcome to the modern day rules of college athletics. He's now at Florida State after uninspiring seasons at Clemson and Oregon State. But the good news for DJU is that FSU returns 91% of their offensive line snaps from an undefeated team last season that still got shut out of the college football playoff even though they were undefeated. Georgia Tech comes in with lots of experience as well on their own offensive line, right? I mean, this is huge, right? But the big thing is, right, their lack of talent at the skill positions. That's a glaring issue for the Yellow Jackets, right? They got a new defensive coordinator, Tyler Santucci.
Oh!
Yeah, Tyler Santucci. Oh, God, Italian pride. It takes over with his pressure nickel defense, and he has talent, but he lacks depth. The line on this game opened at 14.5 and is bet down to 10 and a hook, making it a no-brainer to jump on FSU and lay the hammer. Right? It just makes no sense to not take FSU. So to kick off season 5, give me a nice 2-pack of plays with Florida State minus 10.5 and under 55.5. At 4 Eastern on FS1 at University Stadium in Albuquerque, FCS school Montana State comes in as an 11.5-point road chalk at New Mexico with a total of 54.5. This is the largest spread of an FCS favorite over an FBS school in 10 years, since Old Dominion was a 14-point favorite out of Idaho. Montana State has been an FCS power the last couple of years, and they got a clear edge here in their running game against the subpar New Mexico defense. The Lobos, however, they kick off the Bronco Mendenhall era at home in Albuquerque with a pretty good transfer class. Broncos had some success at other schools. Montana State's the better team, but the Bobcats' defense is also susceptible to some big plays. And while it could be an over, MSU is going to slow the pace way down with their running game and try to pound the Lobos. I'm going to roll with New Mexico here, catching 11.5, which is just too many points, and under 54.5. The Bronco effect at home. On CBS Sports Network at 8 Eastern at Mackey Stadium in Reno, Nevada, 24th ranked SMU enters as huge 24.5-point road favorites at Nevada, and the total is 56.5. SMU is now in the ACC, and Nevada is still awful, hence the big number. This one opened at 27.5, but the public has bet this one down 3 points in favor of the Wolfpack. Nevada's new head coach, Jeff Choate, has his hands full with one of the worst defenses in the nation last year. And in week 1, SMU comes in after scoring 38 points a game last year. Head coach Rhett Lashley has quarterback Preston Stone back after an impressive 2023 where he threw for 3,200 yards and 28 scores. All his receiving weapons are back too, along with their 3-headed monster in the offensive backfield and a defense that returns 9 starters. This team is loaded, and this game could get ugly early, and if the public has bet Nevada down to 24.5, I like SMU even more. Give me the Mustangs. Lay the big number on the road and roll with over 56.5. And finally, in the nightcap. Yeah, I mean nightcap. Literally nightcap. At midnight Eastern on Spectrum Sports at the TC Ching Complex in Honolulu. Hometown Hawaii is a massive 39.5-point chalk versus Delaware State, and the total is set at 57.5. Let's face it, Delaware's fucked here. They missed their flight from New York City yesterday, which is an 11-hour flight anyway, and finally arrived today after scrambling to change plans. Hawaii quarterback Braden Shager, he had a solid 23 campaign. He returns, and he should feast on the Hornets' inept defense. As soon as this game ends, Delaware has to turn right around and fly all the way to Connecticut for next week's game. Travel issues and lack of talent has Delaware State doomed here. But can I lay 40 points? Sure, I'll take a flyer and hope it's 35-3 at halftime. Give me the Rainbow Warriors and lay the big number to close out the week. So that's it. That's what you get. 7 picks, 7 plays to kick off the season and wet our beaks. I will gladly take 4-3 to start the season. But 5-2 would go a long way to get us going early and get us on that right foot. Now, as far as next week goes, expect the videos to keep coming in on Wednesdays because the NCAA is going to take advantage of the last Thursday without NFL and a whole bevy of games next week featuring FBS schools against glorified high schools. Next week is the official week 1 of college football, but it's our week 2. And in our week 3, that's when the NFL takes off and all hell's going to break loose. So be on the lookout for another video at some point next Wednesday. So until then, just remember that if you want to win big, you got to bet big. You can't go broke taking a profit. Scared money don't make money. For me, the action is the juice. There's money on the streets that can't be ignored. The difference between winning and making money is that anyone can win betting chalk, but you can't make money unless you take the dogs. And finally, good luck to you. And yes, I still miss you, Gooch, my brother. Shout out Jimmy Vonich. JV, my brother, will be in town, Music City this week. Can't wait to see you, dog. That's all I got to say. Teddy, take us home.
Pay him. Pay that man his money.
Have a good one all next week.